He was a professor I knew some years back. Alas, in my own personal story, he is very much a villain, in that he was one of the 3 individuals who were responsible for my being forced out of graduate school, just inches short of the PhD. But I'm big enough to admit that in many other people's stories, he was no such thing. He was even something of a hero. He was very good at what he did. He worked well with undergraduates, and the younger of the graduate students, older ones, like me, that was another matter entirely. The younger students, you see, were more likely to accept his direction, his mentorship, and, well, to believe that his way of doing scholarship was the way, that any other approach was illegitimate. Still, his students liked him, some idolized him, and he was quite successful, outstanding in his fields, books in print, at one time the editor of an important journal, and effectively the grand old man of the department. Yet, I could never escape the feeling that he was not happy. From some of the things he said and did, from his body language, he just seemed horribly sad. I honestly couldn't imagine what he had to be sad about, until, sometime later, after I'd left the university, a friend of mine told me that he too had applied to the graduate school at the college at which this man taught. He, like me, was older, but very much more talented than I was, and so was the sort of person who would be a credit to any program of study. The professor had interviewed my friend, who was full of excitement and enthusiasm for his proposed research topic. After a time, the professor sighed deeply and said, well, all right. He would let my friend into the program, but really he wouldn't advise it. Higher ed, he said, was no life for a man. Why not? My friend asked, utterly mystified. Because, the professor said, your students mostly will not really follow you. Most of them are not capable of genuine scholarship, and those that are as well, once they get their degree, they go away and they betray you. They stop doing things the right way. They stop doing things your way. They do things differently. They worship alien gods. So my friend went elsewhere for his PhD. But my friend's experiences explained much to me. I finally understood the professor's vast sadness. His problem was, frankly, a species of morbid narcissism. He calibrated his success in the number of students he produced who were exactly like him. They did their studies exactly as he did. They wrote their papers exactly as he did. Their methodologies were the ones he used. And therefore, alas, for him, most people were failures, and nearly all of his students. For no matter who they were, no matter how malleable, they would eventually try something different. And if they were failures, then so was he. Thus his misery. Thus his secret agony. Oh, the irony of it. If only he had been capable of allowing others their separate identities. If he could have accepted the reality of their selfhood. He could have then considered himself a perfect success, one whose disciples venerated his name. But because he could not manage this simple thing, he lived in hell. And in the end, I fear, will die there. Perhaps there is a lesson in that, one that I and we should heed.